I think yes, because we are who we are, we have special gifts and special weaknesses, and the African kind of spirituality is one that is holistic and sees not the dichotomies, not that this is political and then this is religious, but that all life is of a piece and all life is religious.
So what you're saying really is that prayer is about everything.
Yes, very much like I think what the Hebrews in the Old Testament understood it to be, that God gives them the law in order to help them organize their lives in such a way that they see that everything returns to God because it comes from God.
Archbishop, how do you hope that people will use this recorded version?
Well, certainly there would be people who are blind,
Yes.
who wouldn't be able usually to read unless it was in Braille or in audio form. And then there may just be people who enjoy just shutting their eyes and listening, because some of the pieces are meant to be sung, and I sing one or two of them.
Well, there's one poem that I particularly liked, which certainly needs to be read aloud. It's called My Joy Mounts as Do the Birds. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to read it for us.
Lord, my joys mount as do the birds heavenward. The night has taken wings, and I rejoice in the light. What a day, Lord! What a day! Your sun has burned away the dew from the grass and from our hearts. What erupts from us, what encircles us this morning is thanksgiving. Lord, I also thank you for this job on the railway, which I found during my holidays. I make good money. The money for school lies already in Father's trunk. You can let me advance far, but I know I can never outdo your trees. Lord, your sun is balmy. It caresses the grass and the cassava out of the clay, tops it with flowers, draws out the mahogany, throws birds into the sky, and out of us it drums a song of praise for you.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes, it is gorgeous.
The fact that you're doing this kind of thing, does this mean that you're now able to distance yourself from the political scene and get more involved in the pastoral work?
I thought that you would say, well, he has in fact answered that question because you see, everything that I did was very much motivated by my spirituality. It was my encounter with God which would turn me into seeking to embody the values of the kingdom. Why I fought against apartheid was not because I was inspired by a political or any other ideology. It was the Bible. It was because you read there that you have a God who says, how can you say you love God whom you have not seen and hate your brother whom you have? And say that you're a liar if you say that.
How convinced are you, Archbishop, that having won the first stage of the struggle in South Africa, that things are still going the way that you'd like them to go?
Well, you see, we are great dreamers. We who are, as were the spiritual leaders, are visionaries. And we are forever clutching at something that, just as you're about to get it, seems to recede beyond your grasp. You're saying, we have scaled this mountain. And when we come to the top, we discover there are other mountains still to be climbed. And I think we've got to keep holding before our people the dream of the kingdom.
But how long can it remain a dream? At the time of the elections, people were saying, well, there's bound to be disillusionment because expectations are so high.
What is in fact surprising is that the people's expectations were not extravagant. And the government has made a beginning. They have said there's going to be free health care for children up to the age of 6 and for expectant mothers. There is going to be school feeding. There's going to be free education starting a year at a time. Those are things that in fact are likely to impact very much on the poor, the ones who need it most. And even more importantly, is not these tangible things, important as they are, but it is what has happened to people. They walk with their shoulders straighter, with their heads held slightly higher. The rose that you saw yesterday, suddenly today, because we are free, is more beautiful. The sun somehow seems to be shining slightly more brightly. There is something in the air. We're free. And that is so crucially important to what people ultimately achieve.
Have you also noticed any change in the attitudes of the whites in South Africa?
One of the most important changes is for themselves, discovering that they have sloughed off the burden that they were carrying, the guilt that they had. And many of them are saying, hey, it's great to be a South African. And to go to the Wanderers in Johannesburg or Newlands in Cape Town, and you look at this, the rainbow people sitting round, and all cheering for one team. In the past, it was almost the done thing. You could predict that almost all the blacks would be supporting, just as a matter of course of principle, the visiting side. Now we are all rooting for one side.
Archbishop,